Hey everyone, Mr. MSA here. This is a guide for round 3 of the manufacturer series. Let's get this started. Your first braking point is just after the 150 meter mark. Brake as much as you can in a straight line, then gently start to ease off on the brakes as you turn in. When you're getting ready to accelerate, just make sure you have the car straightened out before you start to fully accelerate. Just like the last turn, you'll brake once again just after the 150 meter mark. You want to brake even more since this is a hairpin, so you want to brake as much as you can in a straight line. Gently ease off the brakes, hit the apex, and very patiently start to accelerate. This time, you'll start to brake right when you're about to meet the 150 meter mark. Do not brake under curbs on the left, as that will make your car a bit more unstable. So gently ease off on the brakes as you turn in, and wait until the turn is nearly over before you start to fully accelerate. Go up to second gear for a bit more stability. Then shortly after you pass the 100 meter mark, that is where you will start to brake. Gently ease off on the brakes as this is a bit of a long turn. Start to use a little bit of throttle to slowly gain speed. Then you will start to brake the moment that the track on the right joins with the main circuit itself. You'll brake hard for just a moment, then slowly ease off on the brakes. Just let the car rotate, get the car pointing straight, start to fully accelerate, and try not to use too much steering input so you don't make the car unstable. Just after you reach the 100 meter mark, you will start to brake, so brake hard for a moment, slowly ease off on the brakes once again, take advantage of the curb on the inside, then you can go pretty wide onto the red and white curb, then brake before the red and white area on the left ends. Brake hard for a moment, slowly ease off on the brakes, let the car rotate, and straighten out the car before you start to fully accelerate. But that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. For the qualifying session, you only have 6 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time. And since we are racing under wet conditions, you basically just want to go out there and just try to get some good clean laps. You can do a little fuel burning on your out lap, but you don't want to spend too much time doing that as you want to try to get your laps in. And in this case, we have enough time to get 3 flying laps in. So once again, you can do a little fuel burning, and in this case, I don't do any fuel burning, I just go for it. But if you want to go that route, you can definitely do it, just don't spend too much time fuel burning. Keep your distance between the car ahead of you and yourself. You can get some slipstream, and that will help you out, especially on the first 2 straights. But if you are getting that slipstream, just don't forget that you will need to brake even earlier for some of the hard braking points, especially turns 2 and 3. So we're going to skip on over towards the end of the qualifying session, and we're going to end up getting 3 qualifying times. And in this case, I was able to get some okay times. I was still trying to get used to the car, but either way, we're just trying to make the best of it. Interestingly, the car that will end up being in pole position right now, he is actually on the racing heavy wet tires, and I am on the intermediates, so I'll talk a little bit about that in the race strategies, which will be coming up shortly. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So for the race strategy, you don't have to go to the pit stop at all. Fuel is nothing to worry about, and the tire wear is nothing significant to where you have to worry about getting new tires. However, you do have 2 tire options available: racing heavy wet and intermediate tires. So first place is on heavy wet tires, and I am on intermediate tires. In this case, I feel a lot more comfortable on the intermediate tires, so those will be the tires that I'll be going with. Interestingly, first place is on heavy wet tires, and he doesn't seem to be having any trouble with them. So if you don't know which tires you want to go with, I would suggest firing up the time trial mode So go to the sport mode, the manufacturer FI race, pick any time slot even though they're closed right now, and then just do the time trial run. You can then change the tires over to intermediate or heavy wets. Just try them out and see which ones work with you the best. In this case, the intermediate tires work best with me. Even trying it out here on the lobby races, I was doing a lot better on the intermediate tires than I was on heavy wets. So before you start doing the lobby races, before you start doing the actual race itself, just try out the tire compounds, try out intermediates, try out heavy wets, see which one works with you the best. I would personally suggest trying out the intermediates first because we are not under the wettest conditions. If this was on, I think it's 10:45 in the morning, that one's where the road conditions are very wet here at Red Bull Ring, and that's where the heavy wet tires will be the more preferred choice. But because this is early in the morning, the surface or the track isn't that wet, intermediate tires are definitely worth taking a look at. I would also suggest bringing the brake balance towards the front of the car just so you can try to get those front tires to work a little bit, get a bit of that tire wear onto the front tires, as the rear tires will be taking a bit more of that wear because they are more likely to be spinning a lot, especially when you're coming out of those hairpins. So we are on the final lap and we barely have any tire wear on the intermediate tires, and because the car is getting lighter over time, we're actually going to be getting faster times towards the later half of the race. Now if we take a look at first place, he's going to have a little more wear, and once again he is on the heavy wet tires, so his rear tires have a tiny bit more wear, which could be just enough for us to have an advantage to slowly catch up to him and possibly perform an overtake on him. But unfortunately, this is the very end of the race that we're talking about here, so he's going to go ahead and take the win. But yeah, so you want to take a look at both tires, just try them out, see which one works for you the best. I would suggest starting with the intermediates first, and if that doesn't work, then try out the heavy wet tires. And one last thing I would like to note, if you are in a front engine rear-wheel drive car, you're going to be at a pretty big disadvantage here. So under wet conditions, this track heavily favors mid-engine rear-wheel drive cars, so like the Porsche 911 RSR, the Audi R8 LMS, they're going to have a good time here. But if you're in a front engine rear-wheel drive car, you're going to have a bit of a hard time just trying to get the car to rotate around some of the even sharper turns, and just trying to accelerate out of the turns. It's going to be a little bit of a sketchy experience. So if you're in a front engine rear-wheel drive car, just try to be careful if you end up doing this race. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this guide. And one last time, try the racing intermediate tires first, and if that doesn't work for you, then try the racing heavy wet tires and see which one works better for you. So yeah, so that's all for the guide. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.